Now, ladies and gentlemen, the most conservative governor in modern Virginia history was George Allen. The most conservative senator in modern Virginia history was George Allen. And it wasn't that long ago that I was touting George Allen as a possible presidential candidate. Remember? And that same George Allen is running in the Republican primary on Tuesday in Virginia to run against Tim Kaine, one of the most liberal governors in Virginia history, and Barack Obama's favorite DNC chairman. Barack Obama put him there. And for all these reasons, I wanted to have my good friend George Allen on the program today, who I've strongly endorsed in the Republican primary coming this Tuesday in Virginia. Senator, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Mark. And Susan and I are going throughout Virginia on our Send a Message to Washington tour. We want to send a message to President Obama, Tim Kaine, and the Washington liberals that we in Virginia want to be in control of our own destiny. And we want to unleash our American and Virginia energy resources. We want to get rid of Obamacare that Tim Kaine calls a great achievement. I want to be the deciding vote to repeal Obamacare. And on energy, we want to stop EPA from banning coal. And on the first day I'm in the Senate, if I'm hired on to represent Virginians, I'm going to introduce a bill to allow us in Virginia to produce natural gas and oil off our coast and use the royalties for roads. We need to get our country going in the right direction, and I think we have the proven ideas and leadership to get this country a more prosperous place for everyone to have an opportunity to achieve their dreams.
So you would push that some of the royalties that the state receives can be used by local communities to improve and expand their road systems.
Yeah, exactly. There's a precedent for this, Mark. When I was in the Senate previously, there was a lease sale due south of Mobile, Alabama, and Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana all got 37.5% of their royalties. Louisiana's using it for shoreline stabilization. In Virginia, and the states could get 37.5% of the royalties, and I'd like to see it used for roads and transportation, which is a need. And I also like to see the taxpayers actually seeing what they're getting, something tangible from it, and that's what Virginia could do with it. And then more importantly, they would also create a lot of jobs. We'd have more affordable fuel and food and electricity if we could use coal, continue using coal, clean coal technology. And we'd be keeping our money here in the United States of America, not be so vulnerable to these hostile dictatorships around the world. So Virginians, from our coal fields to our coast, are ready, willing, and able to provide America the energy to power our economy. The only people standing in the way are in Washington.
Mm-hmm. But Northern Virginia is kind of a Democrat, in some respects, stronghold, and the main complaint is typically roads, and you do have a proposal for this. The federal government shouldn't keep all these royalties. Our state should get more of these royalties.
Yeah, exactly right, Mark. And in Northern Virginia, counties like Loudoun County, Prince William County, Susan and I, our family, we live in Fairfax. I think we can do well in those counties. In fact, Tim Kaine, with the big union bosses, was making appointees for the extension of Metro to Dulles, and they were trying to give this favoritism towards the big union bosses, which the result would be is higher tolls for Northern Virginia commuters, less bang for the buck, the jobs going to out-of-state contractors while denying Virginians those good-paying jobs. And thank goodness my friend and the current governor, Bob McDonnell, said, no, we're not putting a penny into this if you're going to have this favoritism or discrimination against employees, workers who have chosen not to join a union. And so,
now, George Allen, this is a very, very important point. Virginia is a right-to-work state. You'll be running against, as the Republican nominee, if that occurs on Tuesday, and I certainly hope it does, you'll be running against Tim Kaine, who's one of the most liberal governors our state's ever had. And the fact of the matter is, he helped plot and strategize with the union bosses in Wisconsin against Scott Walker, didn't he?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Mark. Tim Kaine, when he was governor, was a handpicked chairman of the Democratic National Committee by President Obama. He's also the handpicked senator, but I think Virginians deserve a senator for Virginians. But he put resources into Wisconsin when those teachers were abandoning their children in the classroom to go protest and strike and all that. In Virginia, we have right-to-work laws, and being the furthest state north on the eastern seaboard with right-to-work laws gives us a great competitive advantage in attracting investment and jobs, and I know that as governor. And that means that no man or woman is compelled to join a union and pay dues as a condition of work. The laws in Virginia also do not allow government employees to join unions or have collective bargaining. If no one understood what those were, watching what was going on in Wisconsin is precisely why Virginia had those laws. And Tim Kaine was backing those who were perpetrating events and activities that were contrary to the very beneficial laws in Virginia. And thank goodness the majority of the people in Wisconsin backed Governor Walker. And that sent a message to the country as well. That's why I think in Virginia, if we win big, have a strong win next Tuesday in the primary, people need to get out to vote. Virginia is going to determine the future of our country. This is a crucial election. Virginia is a pivotal state in the presidential as well as the Senate race. And this will send a message to Washington and the folks up in Washington that, gosh, Virginia is fired up. They realize there's a very clear choice. So whether it's the big union bosses who are supporting Tim Kaine and the Democratic National Committee, it's a sense for those who are involved in energy or care about affordable electricity and fuel and food. It is a stand for the Keystone Pipeline. Tim Kaine is along with President Obama against the Keystone Pipeline. He's for that cap-and-trade energy tax, which is now being pushed upon us by the unelected, unaccountable bureaucracy of the EPA. And so there's so many of these issues, from Obamacare to energy to jobs. And Tim Kaine, as you said, when he was governor, my goodness, he was pushing for $4 billion in tax increases. When I was governor, even with the Democrat-controlled legislature, we cut taxes by $600 million. We froze college tuition. And at the end of 4 years, over 300,000 net new private sector jobs were created.
Well, I want people...
100,000 Virginians lost jobs.
I want people to understand, you were like the Ronald Reagan as governor, the Ronald Reagan of Virginia. I mean, I came to Richmond once or twice. I knew a couple of your cabinet secretaries who are dear friends of mine. And, by the way, do you still wear your cowboy boots?
I'm in Halifax County right now, and I am wearing my cowboy boots. I do have a little dust on them.
I just want people to know that you're that kind of character, you're that kind of an image, you're that kind of a leader you were in the state of Virginia. I'm getting these robocalls telling me you're a liberal when you were the most conservative governor and senator in modern Virginia history. But all that said, isn't it interesting that Tim Kaine is trying to position himself, George Allen, as a fiscal conservative? Based on what?
Based on, I guess, trying to raise taxes and shut down rest areas throughout Virginia. That's not my definition of a conservative. And I do have a proven record, and I'm proud of my record as governor as well as a senator, and that's why our campaign has earned the endorsement from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Rifle Association, the American Conservative Union, Citizens United, and many others who really like our positive agenda, my proven record, and they want to see America begin to ascend again with these common sense conservative principles, ideas, and reforms that are needed now more than ever.